Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to my podcast. Today, I'm finally recording the next episode of my podcast series, and I'm so sorry that it's been such a long time. I have been trying to navigate life post grad and or post undergrad, I should say, and it's been weird. It's been really rough, I would even say, like just figuring out my job situation and figuring out what it is I really want to do with my life. I think when I was in college, I just had like too much of my time was occupied with like trying to stay up and or trying to keep up with my classes that it was easier for me to kind of just like quote unquote dream about what I would do. And now I'm actually in that state of my life where, or this stage of my life where I'm like actually needing to do it. And I think that in this episode, I'm just going to be like blabbering on. And if it's something that you enjoy listening to, I love you. And if not, then I'm very sorry. Click out. Why are you listening to this podcast episode then? Anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna be super vulnerable and just blabber on. And I don't know what the time stamp is on my last podcast episode, but we're just gonna start new and not talk about maybe what I mentioned in that last podcast because I've accepted that that's in the past and I don't want to reminisce on it anymore. Maybe just a little bit from time to time, but yeah, where should I even start? I think the last time that I spoke to you all, I was still working my first like full-time job. I'm sorry if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. He's in the room on my bed, and nobody else is up in the house right now. My parents are in Thailand, and it's just been me and like my sisters. Um, anyways, yeah, I was working my full-time job all the way out in Eden Prairie, and I will try not to say too much about it. But long story short, I was just not happy in that position, and it is definitely a job that I didn't see myself doing long term. I was making a pros and cons list at this job about what I liked and what I didn't like. And let me tell you, the cons were outweighing the pros, and I just could not do it. I'm very much a like, I don't even know what to call it. Like, I will fucking leave, girly. Okay, like, no 2 week notice or anything. But yeah, I'm just the kind of person that, like, I find it hard to be in a position and to continue going on when I just realized that, like, the people that I'm around are just not serving me. The job itself is not serving me. There's no passion, there's no, like, I don't find any joy in it. And I totally get it. Like, I know some people will be like, oh, well, a job is a job and it's just what you do to make money. And then you can come home and like do whatever else you want, right? Engage in and indulge in like your hobbies and the things that you actually do enjoy doing. But for me, even if a job is a job at the end of the day, like I would still like to enjoy the job I'm doing. And when when I quit that job, I had gone in on a weekend because thank God our key cards could get us on the weekend. I'd been quarantining. This was my last straw, so I'll start there. There were many problems leading up to me, like wanting to just fucking leave, but the final straw was when I had to quarantine for COVID, and mind you, like I lived very what I consider very far away from work. Like I was 45 minutes to an hour away from work. That was like me driving to college every single day and not living on campus. So that kind of bothered me, but I tried to see it through to see if like, you know, I don't know if I'm not gonna like it until I try. So I tried it. The job was originally advertised as a hybrid schedule, but after interviewing, they were like, oh, this is actually like a full time in office. So I was like, all right, well, let me just try. Eden Prairie is very far from where I live. I don't like the drive. I already right off the bat, I was like, this is definitely not something that I would want. I wouldn't move closer to Eden Prairie, and I don't see my long term like position being in a location that's so far away from me and me having to make such a long commute because let me tell you the highway that I have to be on. So I live in Minnesota, I-494, a fucking nightmare in the summertime, a fucking nightmare during rush hour. You feel like you're stuck in traffic for like forever. And I really, really hated that. And anyways, here is me going on about yeah. So what am I saying? I don't know. I lost my train of thought. One, I hated the drive. Two, my final straw, quarantine for COVID. It was a contractor role, full time in office. They wouldn't let me work while I was quarantining. I remember I told my supervisor, I was like, if you let me drive to work and have someone hand off my laptop to me, I will work from home so that my team, my account team that I'm under, isn't short an OP or not an OP, an OC. Um, she was like, no, like I can't get it approved by the manager. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Well, like I'm not gonna come into work then because like at the level of like that I was exposed, I know that I was exposed to COVID. I don't feel comfortable coming in. I don't feel comfortable sitting there around people, like even masked, and potentially like putting them at risk for COVID as well. So I didn't go in. I didn't go in for like I think I was quarantined for like 2 days and then on the weekend I had just made the decision to like I was like, you know what, like this just isn't it. Like I can't do this. I can't be on like I can't be quarantined and then just like not be getting paid, right? Like mind you, like I wasn't getting any benefits. I wasn't accruing PTO, so it was just terrible. Like great. I'm still living with my parents and like they're very lenient with me and I'm really grateful for that and grateful for the situation that I'm in so that I was able to just like quit right there on the spot. But essentially bringing the story back to where it initially was, I went in on a Saturday morning and I just cleaned up my desk. Cleaned it all up, took all my little trinkets, my little desk trinkets, my candy jar, all of that stuff, and I left my name plaque, like everything that was still the company's. I left at my desk and then I just walked out. And the following Monday, this is like the beginning of January, the following Monday, I I emailed my account team and my supervisor and manager and I was just like, yeah, like kept it very professional. And I was just like short and sweet. And I was like, like this is just not the position I see myself working in long term. Like, thank you so much for the opportunity, but I will be looking for work like elsewhere now. And like that was that. And my recruiter ended up calling me up like I think like the next day or the day after. And if you want to see me talking a little more about this, or I guess like I filmed some of it, but not like in depth. I posted like 2 YouTube videos on my YouTube channel that you can watch to see me kind of go through that process and talk about it. But my recruiter calls me up. He's like, yeah, like, why don't we give a 2 week notice? He essentially told me, like, no matter where you go, like, you're gonna be disposable. And I was like, babes, you don't think I've fucking thought about that? Like, if I wanna be disposable, I'd rather be disposable somewhere else and not at that company and not so far away from home, basically. And I don't know, like I just wasn't happy with my recruiter. Clearly he's not like I don't know. I just wasn't happy. That's all there is to say about it. And so from there I started looking for a new position and I updated my resume And then I started to apply to positions that I felt aligned with what I would want or what I felt like I had experience in. So, like, I was applying to some other coordination roles and like logistic roles. But then I was like, but why am I applying to those if like that's not what I see myself doing long term? I was applying to a couple nonprofit positions and then to a couple like office jobs because at the time, because of like what I was doing in my previous role, I was like, oh, I just want like a mellow like receptionist role, like quiet role. But like fast forward, right? Like I worked very, very briefly at my sister-in-law's company at the front desk. And I worked this position for like the first 2 weeks of February or so before deciding that, like, wow, like, this is so fucked. And like, their hiring process was all right, but like any company does, they're constantly going through changes, right? But it was just, I don't think it was the changes that was causing hiccups. Like, I think it was just the overall company structure that was just super terrible, in my opinion. The training week was really, in my opinion, like unorganized and unprofessional, and like nobody knew what they were doing. And I just feel like my preferences when I was applying and requesting like the positions that I was applying for and what I felt I was like drawn more to like definitely weren't taken into consideration, which is why I ended up leaving. Like, I think I only like after training week I only worked for like a week and 2 days, and then I was like, I can't do this," because I thought working like a front desk role would be like pretty mellow and fun. But and like, mind you, I'm getting paid hourly, right? But this company required me to like track all of my tasks and report at the end of the day before closing what I did for the day. And so that made me feel really stressed out as well because I was like, I'm paid hourly. I'm like, there's already not a lot to do at the front desk. There was a 6 hour overlap where there were four people working, right? We didn't get a lot of phone calls. We didn't get a lot of patients like asking for help on being like referred to a clinician. So it was kind of like we were fighting for tasks to do every day. And I don't know, like there were a couple comments that um my coworkers had made that made me feel really uncomfortable, like, oh, like makes me feel like you guys didn't need an extra person here at this location, right? So for me, in my mind, it just felt like I don't know why they hired me for this position if like it feels like I wasn't even really needed. And so I made the decision to like leave. I remember a morning, like I got ready and everything, and it was really unfortunate because I was really excited about this job as well. And then like I think training week just really set the tone for like what was to be expected, or not what was to be expected, but what was to come when I started at my official job site. It was just terrible. And yeah, I hated it. I hated it. I remember waking up on a weekday morning before like going to work, and I just told my sister like, like, Christine, like I just don't know if I'm like cut out for this kind of work. Like I don't know if I'm cut out for like a 9 to 5. It's really stressing me out. Like I just feel like I'm not going in the direction I want to at this time, like mid-February, right? Like only about a month ago. Um, I had commissions that I was standing on that were for like a decent chunk of money that like I had just been sitting on for months because like I didn't have the time to do them. I didn't have the time to pour my energy into it, my creative juices into it, and that was stressing me out too because I'm like, here I am like working like jobs I fucking hate, and then like being too burnt out and stressed out to like actually do the work that I love. And so my sister was like, well, like it's just a job and like you can find another job. So if you feel like you don't like it and like it's not what you want or you see yourself doing, then like just quit. Like you need not to put this on your resume. And so like I cried a bit to her and then my mom was like, which is really weird to me. Like I think as the youngest, my parents, and this is a conversation for another day as well, but like I think my parents have been not I think, I know. My parents have been the most lenient with me because like I'm the baby, I'm the youngest of five. And also like I guess like to an extent they just don't care anymore like what I do because they're like it's your life, like what you want to do is your responsibility. Like if you mess up, like that's going to be on you at the end of the day. So I've been like harsh enough on myself kind of, which is a good and bad thing, I guess. But they've been very lenient and my mom was immediately like, "Oh yeah, like just quit." Like there are always going to be other jobs out there. Like you can find a work from home job, you can find a job that just aligns more with you. And she's like, your dad and I won't make you pay rent yet. Like you can, like, but you have to tell your dad that, like, you quit your job and, like, that you're looking for new work and that you essentially, like, need more time, right? And so my dad and I already have a rocky relationship, but I know my boundaries, okay? I'm like, I'm still living with my parents. Like, that's something that I need to run by my dad, obviously. So I was nervous, but I didn't go to work. I ended up mailing all my stuff in and sending my supervisor an email and just being like explaining everything to her. Um, and yeah, that was like the end of that. And so now we're fast forwarding to today, but like most recent update. Since leaving that position, I have had the time to actually wrap up two commissions with my college. Thank God, thank the universe. I was able to work on press on nail commissions, my art commissions, and it brought me a lot of joy. And I'm finding a lot of satisfaction in like this is such a little thing, but like the things that I post on Instagram now, and I feel like I'm just less stressed out, and I just had time to like truly recover from like the burnout that I was feeling from like my jobs. And it really made me realize it gave me a lot of time to reflect as well, obviously, because I was unemployed. And thank God I had the funds to cover everything for like the basically 2 months that I've been unemployed. Because essentially, like, if you cut out the 2 weeks that I was working that my most recent job, um, I've basically been unemployed for 2 months. And it's just given me the chance to pour into my freelance work and to reflect. And I realized that like I really didn't give myself a break like after graduating, like, and I don't know, like that makes me kind of sad because I didn't go to my senior week in college because I had to jump right into my internship. And given I could have and I should have asked to be my start date of my internship be pushed back after I graduated, but like I didn't because I was like, no, like this is my internship, like I want to pour into this and like gain all of that experience. So I jumped right into my internship, which was the first week of my senior week as well. And then I drove all the way back down to my college for my graduation ceremony. And then right after my internship wrapped up for the summer, um, I jumped right into my contracted job. And then that just brings me to where I am now, where I've just constantly been searching and working and searching and working and not really giving myself a break to do the things that I really enjoy. So I think that I'm just feeling a sense of relief, um, just being able to refocus on myself and to really, really think about like, Maggie, what the fuck do you want to do with your life? And what are you going to do now to get there? Because there's never going to be a moment in your life where you're too busy with like college or too busy with your studies that, you can't think about these things. Like the time to think about it is now. And there's just been so much on my mind. I recently picked up a part-time job with Hennepin County, and a government job is where it's at for me. That is my end goal. It is in the environmental and energy department, and I will have the opportunity to network with environmentalists. It puts me right there on the map where I would like to be for my end goal, or like my long-term career. um it's what I spent 4 years of my life studying, environmental studies. So I just feel like this is a really great place for me to be, and it'll be work that I'm passionate about, and it'll still give me, with it being part-time with benefits, it'll also still give me the time to pour into my creative hobbies as well, and to make money off of those, I guess, like, not side hustle, but those hobbies as well. I don't want to call them a side hustle because I feel like what if I call my hobbies a side hustle, then um it won't be long until I get burnt out from them as well. So it's it's kind of like two birds, one stone. And the only thing I don't regret a lot, I think everything leading up to like the year mark of me graduating has just been like a learning lesson for me to really ground myself and to fully understand where I want to be and what I want for myself. But a part of me um like wishes that this opportunity would have come sooner, but I didn't know myself enough 1 year ago. And I'm just glad that I'm growing, and I'm glad that I'm learning, and that, I'm things are starting to unfold for me, and I'm just really grateful. And thinking about this made me think about my last relationship as well, and about like how much I miss him, but also like how how important it is that I'm not in a relationship right now, because how can I be the best version of myself for someone else and in a relationship when like I don't even have all the things that I want for myself yet? Like, I'm not where I want to be in my career. I'm not where I want to be financially. I'm not as independent as I would like to be. I'm still building up to it. Why would I then add a relationship to that equation? I still shamelessly hope that one day our paths will cross again, but I know for myself now is not the time. So like I don't know why I still spend time like being sad about it. I just miss him. And I'll say that with my whole chest. I don't know. Yeah, I know now is not the time. I know that things just like wouldn't things just wouldn't work out the way I want them to. And I think a lot about a quote that like I took away from my Monday like intern bonding sessions of like no plan is greater than the plan that the universe has waiting for you. And whoever said that at that intern session was so real for that, because it's so true. No matter what plans I have for myself, they will never be greater than, they will never be more amazing than what the universe already has planned for me. And I am just um I feel like I'm just now seeing an example of that with how things are playing out with my job. And I I'm just really grateful for this next position that I'll be in and that I was able to get it. I was able to secure it. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. There's just a lot that I'm thankful for, and I've been taking a lot of time to journal. And if you are not a journaler, I highly recommend it because it's a really great way of um processing everything, and like even like start your own podcast, like record yourself on your voice memos, because that's what I do sometimes as well. And it may sound like super crazy, but sometimes it's just good to like talk things out to like yourself and not to somebody else. And like you know, you don't always like need input from somebody else. I think it's good for you to just record yourself and then like listen back to it a couple days later and then really like reflect on how you were feeling at that moment. Um, I don't know, like get it out. It's kind of like I think I've gotten into this habit of doing that because like when I was younger, like I didn't know how to process my own emotions, and so like I was a chronic like bottle bottle up your feelings and then like burst out crying about like everything at one moment, right? And this is my way of like steering away from that habit because it takes such a like a mental and like physical toll on you when you do that. Um, so that's Maggie's advice for the day. Anyways, I want to circle back to the comment that I made about my ex and about how if I'm not where I want to be, what makes me think that a relationship would help with anything, right? And I want to just take a quick moment because if you're listening to this and you're one of my college friends who had to watch me go through this breakup, you know how hard it was for me. I still talk about it to this day. I still make not references to it. I still talk about it. And it's been almost a year, and sometimes I feel like here I was earlier just saying like I shamelessly like say with my chest that like I still miss him and I still hope that like our paths will cross in the future. But like there are also moments where like I feel really shameful that like it's almost the year mark and like I still feel the way that I do, and that like my feelings for him are still there. And I just like compare it to like my first breakup and like how it was just so easy to like, mm-mm, yeah, like I would never get back with you. But like that's because I was crying about how like hurt I was and how poorly I was treated in that relationship. It wasn't like crying about like how great it was because like nothing bad happened. And um yeah, I don't know, like I don't know, I felt whole in my last relationship, my most recent relationship, and I think that's what makes the feelings linger for so long. But um yeah, I guess that's my little reflection on my last relationship. Um I don't know. I feel like I often lose my train of thought when I'm talking about it because I get lost in my thoughts about it, and I think about like the what ifs, and I almost feel like I sound kind of like it sounds so depressing for me to say this, but like sometimes I'm like, yeah, okay, there's no way that this could work now. And like, I guess I just give up. And like, it's like I'm giving up on the, the potential that it could be anything now. That doesn't mean that I don't hope that like we could cross paths in the future, but like, I think trying to put any time or energy into do it right now is just a waste of my time and like doing a disservice to myself. But I definitely feel like that also means that doesn't mean like I'm back on the dating apps or back searching for like another like boyfriend. Like right now I just feel like I don't want anything with anyone, and I would just like to focus on my career. Like I'm 23. I'm not getting any younger. And I think that sounds like silly, but like seriously I'm not getting any younger. Like I think 23 was the age where like I realized like I'm going to create my life and I'm going to create it now. And there is nobody there stopping me. The only person who's stopping me is the little voice in my head. It's only myself. And I need to get over that hump and I need to start figuring my shit out because if I want to be anywhere, I need to lay down the seeds now. And I need to shut the fuck up about my ex. Or like to not think about entertaining the idea of like a new relationship at all. Just to fill a void. That's the biggest thing that I want to avoid is like the when I've navigated relationships and like I guess like breakups or separations, like the one thing that I always want to avoid or has been in the back of my head is like to not rebound with someone or to not use somebody who has feelings for me um in like or poorly. Like I don't want to use them poorly. I don't want to use them as a rebound. I don't want to make them feel shitty because I'm like, if I already felt shitty before in a relationship, like why the fuck would I put you through that too? Um, I would, yeah. I just feel like I just sound very sad in this podcast, but it's not that I'm sad. It's just that I'm in a deep state of reflection. And I mean, you should have seen me last summer. I was like crying like almost every night about my ex and like late at night, just like staying up thinking about it. And it was really sad. A very dark time. I think 22, the second half of me being 22 leading up to me being 23 was like a very like growing into a new person for me, like evolving like I was a Pokemon, you know? And it was depressing. That was a depressing time in my life. I just wasn't happy with anything. And I should be really upfront and also like if you think I'm vain, that's totally fine. But I'm also just so tired of like being unhealthy and like also seeing myself like fat. Like there is a certain physique that I want for myself and that I would like to keep, and I'm just not where I am right now with that. And I think that it would just help with like my mental state of mind so much as well, which is why I've been so like off of my social medias and like not posting a lot of pictures of myself and like creating vision boards for myself because I just want to get my health and wellness in check and like to be like I want my physique to reflect who I am in the mind right now and like I'm not that right now. And I think that's what's what upsets me now. And I'm not super like fixated, but it's definitely something on my mind and one of my goals that I have before the end of 2024 ends is to like reach that. And that's why I've been like listening to this YouTuber called Haley Gamba. And she talks about going into like a baddie hibernation, like hot girl hibernation. And that's really like the state of mind that I've been in right now. I'm like focused on my career, focused on making money, and focused on my health and wellness. And like being the girl, like having my physical body like reflect what I feel inside. And that's where I'm really at. And I think this is a shorter podcast of just like really wanting to give you all an update of like where I've been and what I've been doing, my thought process and everything. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Send me a quick upload. The next podcast episode I upload will be more organized and more structured. But for now, this is just a blurb of everything that's been happening up until now so that whoever listens is like up to date if it even matters to you. But anyways, thank you so much for listening and I'll talk to you all in my next podcast.